So I'm excited to be here at Google's Developer Group Fest, GDG Fest, and I'm going to teach you about the Go programming language. And the official website of the Go programming language is golang.org. We'll get to that in a second. I became interested in the Go programming language because of its credentials. And so Go in 2006, Intel released the first dual-core processor. I think it was 2006, pretty sure. Pentium dual-core processor, 2006, first dual-core processor was released. In 2007, Google started creating the Go programming language. Prior to 2006, there really weren't any multiple core machines. Prior to 2006, no significant programming languages had been created to take advantage natively and easily of multiple cores. 2006, this is important, first dual-core Pentium processor released by Intel. 2007, Google starts creating a language to easily and natively take advantage of multiple cores. Go is the first programming language to take advantage of multiple cores super easily, right? So its credentials are the first thing that impressed me, created by Google. The second piece of its credentials are the guys who created it at Google. So Rob Pike, Ken Thompson, and Robert Gressimer. These guys are luminaries in computer science, like heavy hitters. And these are the same guys who helped create C, the C programming language, Unix, the Unix operating system, and UTF-8. That's like the bedrock of comp sci right there. So these same guys who helped create the bedrock of comp sci got together with Google and created a new programming language. Like when I heard that, I was like, sign me up. I'm going to learn that language. Right? And so I started learning it in, I got to do a little math here, 2014. It was released open source 2009, version 1 March 2012, and then in 2014 I started learning it 2 years after it was version 1. When I started learning it, the best resource, there weren't very many resources for learning about the Go programming language, and I was actually learning it from a book originally written in Chinese and translated to English, which is hard, because if you've ever read Chinglish, Chinglish is like beautiful and funny and not a good language for, for reading. Deform mantoid, spread to fuck the fruit, carefully bang head, nice electric shock. So you can just imagine a programming book in that type of, it's kind of fun, but. So that was in 2014. 2015, I started teaching it at Fresno State. Summer of 2015, we did a summer web boot camp where we hired one of the rock stars in the Go programming ecosystem, Caleb Doxey. He came in and trained all of us for 4 weeks so that we could do things properly. 2015 fall, 2016 spring, taught it at Fresno State, and I've also been teaching it at City College. I was adjunct comp sci at Fresno State, and I'm full-time tenured faculty in CIT at Fresno City College. My background is econ and business. I started just getting into programming because they needed somebody. I said, okay, I'll try to learn it, right? I've been humbled and brought to my knees by the Go programming language, and if it wasn't for the fact that I have a family to support, many a time I would have quit. This is hard, but it's also hard like a Zen master is hard. He's going to hit you with that stick until you get it right. And when you know how to code in the Go programming language, you know how to code, period. You understand computers and how they work, right? And you're not working at some abstracted level of some library or framework where somebody else has figured out all of the specifications for you. You're working with how things should be worked with, okay? So Go is great for doing what Google does. It's great for doing what Google does. So you just think about what Google does. That's what Go's great for. So if you want to create applications that scale and work on the web and can handle billions of users, Go is the language for you. The language has been gaining incredible momentum in the marketplace. One of my personal friends is the world's leading Go corporate trainer. And I hear from him regularly, oh, this week I'm going to X, next week Y, the week after that Z. And it's major corporation after major corporation after major corporation. Google is rewriting its infrastructure in Go. So if I haven't sold you on learning the Go programming language, leave now. Because the rest of what I'm going to share with you will be lost, because I'm going to share how to use the language. I'm going to give you some resources. The first resource is this right here, so take a picture of that with your cell phone. Or write it down. Everybody got it? Anybody need another minute? Another second? Somebody else snapping a picture. I see phones are being put away. I don't see anybody still holding up a phone. All right, cool. Yeah, question. What's up?
What's the class at City?
The class at City I'm teaching is Wednesday night, 5:30 to 10:30, and it's this semester it's CIT 90 data-driven websites, and in the fall it's going to be CIT 90, or in the spring it's going to be CIT 94. I believe that's also Wednesday night. So come drop in City College. Go. You could sign up. Sign-ups are right now. Get in before it's full. CIT 94 City College. It'll cost you maybe $400, $500 once you paid for the units and signed up at City and everything. But it'll be semester long, and I'll teach you how to do web dev with Go. And in the interim, you can bring yourself up to speed with the language, because I'm going to give you access to my online course, which is a self-paced, self-directed course for learning the Go programming language. So I'm going to show you that in a second.
Thank you.
Yep, good question. Thank you. All right, so that's the first resource. The next, what you'll find in this resource is you'll find things like, I don't know, the GitHub code for learning the fundamentals of the language, and then also web dev with Go. You will find how to follow me. So my social links right there. Follow me on Twitter, because I always post things for helping people to Go language. And then here are some great books. If you're just learning the language, it's going to be these by Caleb Doxey. If you want web dev, that one's pretty great. And then this one, these two down here take you deeper into the fundamentals. If you use these URLs, I get $1 or something from Amazon every time you use those URLs, so that's kind of nice. And then there's links to a YouTube playlist from my current class from teaching web dev with Go and the code base for that. And then here are the videos for Caleb Doxey's lecture, summer of 2015. So a lot of really good resources. So if you go to YouTube, Todd McLeod, the playlist you want is Golang Web Programming Fall 2016. The repo you want, GitHub goes to 11, is Golang Web Dev right here. That's the most current one. This one's been deprecated. This is a deprecated repo. And that's the Golang training, right, for learning the Go language. You could go and you could take my course, udemy.com, Todd McLeod, and I have Learn How to Code Google's Go programming language. And I also have a brand new course, How to Create a Website, which teaches you HTML and CSS. And so that's a really great course. I can't recommend it highly enough. I've looked all over the place for a good course, never found it. Been involved with the web since the late 90s. Everybody likes teaching libraries and frameworks, bootcrap, jQuery, and I really believe you need to know the fundamentals before you branch out. And so this teaches you the fundamentals of HTML and CSS. And here are the fundamentals of the Go programming language. I have taught over 41,000 students how to use the Go programming language. And that's that. Okay, so let's start talking about Go. You could easily get going with Go by going to the Golang playground. And at the Golang playground, you have something that will format your code. So if this was in funky format, I hit format, it formats it. There's certain conventions using the Go programming language. You can't have your curly braces on the next line, right? They have to be like that. They've mandated these code conventions to allow consistency between developers of how the code is presented and to prevent developer arguments and wasted times about code and how you should style your code. The curly braces should be on the same line or after line. The gods of computer science, Rob Pye, Ken Thompson, and Robert Gressmer, said it is this way. Get over it. Okay? And it'll format it and it'll do your imports for you. So if I don't have an import here and I have that checked, when I format my code, it goes and gets the import. These are packages of code from the standard library, right? Pre-written code written by the gods of computer science that you could bring in and start using. And that code goes from the operating system to the net, to net HTTP, to building web apps and templating and the whole deal. In the next hour, I'll talk about doing web dev. So format, bring in the imports. You could share this code by getting a link, copying it, sending it to somebody. Hey, what the hell's wrong with my code? Post it up onto a forum, right? Go Bridge forum is a good place to go. The Go Bridge forum. Go forum right here, the Golang Bridge. And a lot of heavy hitters in the language hang out here. You post stuff up there, you'll be like, yo, Dave Cheney just responded to my question. That's so cool. You'll know who Dave Cheney is in a bit if you get into Go. So you can share your code and you can run your code and it produces the output. So there's some nuances to getting your development environment set up. You have to set a couple of environment variables and you have to specify a workspace in a certain configuration, which takes care of package management and namespacing, right? So that you could easily share code between people. Beautifully designed language. Beautifully designed. Does it have everything? Name me one person that does. Name me one thing that does. If you're a nitpicker, you're going to find something to nitpick about, right? There'll be this or that. I wish it had this, but I think it's beautiful and clean and 90% of everything you need right there. Okay, so let's get started. Scope and variable declaration. When you declare a variable inside of curly braces, so inside of brackets, right? Then curly braces. Inside of braces, you use the short declaration operator. So that is going to declare, assign, initialize the variable. So x is declared. I am declaring the variable x, and I'm setting it equal to the value 7. It's initialized to the value 7. And then the type is automatically inferred by the compiler. I could do a func print line, print out x. I could also do a func print f for format printing. And I could say, give me the %t, show me the type. And I want to see the type of that one. And I could run it, format my code, and then run it. And it says, hey, you've got the variable x, the value is 7, and it is of type int. Couple of important concepts there. We have the concept of a variable, and we also have a concept of a type, and we also have the concept of a value, right? So variable type value. So variable holds a value, and that value is of a certain type. So we have to be really explicit with our language when coding. Software engineering is an engineering field, and that requires precision. We're also talking about declare, we're also talking about assign, and we're also talking about initialize, which is equal to declaring and assigning. You declare a variable. I could declare a variable var x int. Var cint, var yint, var yint. I'm declaring y is of type int. And then I could assign to y a value. Y is equal to 7. If you declare and assign at the same time, that's all initialization. I can't help but to go over some of the basic fundamentals. All right. So when you're going to set a variable, declare a variable outside of curly braces, you use var. You can't use the short declaration operator outside of the curly braces. You use var. var is going to set a variable to its 0 value. You could go to, there's 2 places to look for the horse's mouth. The horse's mouth in Golang is here under Documents, golang.org, Documents. Go to Documents, you scroll down, you come to Package Documentation. That's going to give you all the documentation for the standard library, right? That's one of the places you look for definitive information. And then you also have the language specification, the language spec. That's also the second place you'll look for definitive information. And then you also have effective Go, which is a guideline for writing effective idiomatic Go. We talk about idiomatic Go. When I first heard that, I was like, I don't know what idiomatic means. Idiomatic, every culture has idioms, patterns of speech. Idiom. An idiom is a pattern of speech. Idiom, define. A group of words established by usage as having meaning, not right. So it's basically, what are these idioms for talking about this language? When we write Go code, that's the way Go code should be written. It's idiomatic. This is the way we write code in this language. So that's idiomatic Go. So the Golang spec and effective Go is where you go to learn about the language specification. If I went and I looked at the Golang spec and I looked for 0 value, right? I'd come down here and I could read about 0 value and I could see, hey, 0 value is false for bool, 0 for integers, 0, 0 for floats, empty string for strings, and nil for a lot of other things. So over here, when I do var int, it's setting it to its 0 value. That 0 value is going to be 0. So I need to put a new line break in there, which is why that looks a little funny. So that's declaring a variable. Okay, we don't talk about object-oriented programming in Go. We don't say object-oriented programming really. And if you go back to the documents and you look for FAQ, frequently asked questions, you can say object-oriented. How is that done? Is Go an object-oriented language? By the way, you could find here, why are you creating a new language? And it'll talk about, oh, this is why we're doing it, right? So you could come in there, and that's a really great one to read. And, you know, for those of you who are online, I'll just save you the trouble. Why are you creating a new language? Pause your video right now and read that. Okay, your time's up. And here we have object-oriented language. Pause your video again right now. Okay, your time's almost up. But it's a different approach to an object-oriented language. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I mean. So you saw how to declare and assign a variable, the short declaration operator. That takes you a long way, just knowing that. And you also saw you could declare right here outside, get a 0 value. You could also do that in here if you just want a 0 value. But now I'm going to create, and by the way, functions. Let me show you functions first. A function is going to have an identifier, and it's going to have parameters, and then it's going to have returns, and you could have multiple returns, and then code goes here. Okay, so that's in a func, and then there's also right here something known as the receiver, and we're going to learn what that does in a second. So func foo will return an int. It'll take in an int, and it's going to take x, return x plus x. And so now if I have y is equal to, colon equals 7, and I call foo, funct, well, let's say z is colon equal to foo, and I pass in y, and then I do a funct print line z 14. All right? But this here is going to be important, so I'm just going to leave that there for a second. So now I'm going to create a new type. And I'm going to say type person struct, because this is how we kind of get to object orientation in Go. And it's different. And so this is going to have a field f name and l name, and those are both going to be of type string. I could then come down here and I could say that p1, p1 is colon equal to a person, and I populate those fields. So James Bond. James Bond. And if I wanted to, I could do James P1 F name and print that out. James, right? So there's my struct. Cool. I could do something like this. And for this to work, I need to do Miss, and I don't know her first name, so there we go. Now I'm going to create a new one, secret agent. Sex. That's not quite what I'm going for in the moment. And secret agents, everything that a person is, I am embedding a type in another type. I'm creating my own types. Creating my own types. Int, string, bool, person, secret agent, they're all types. A variable has an identifier to store a value which is of a certain type. This is different. This is different. Right? So I'm embedding one type in another. That becomes the inner type. There is inner type promotion. So everything that a person is gets promoted to the secret agent level. If there's a collision from identifiers, you could use dot notation to drill down to that specific whatever you want it to be. So now license to kill is also something that every secret agent may or may not have, depending upon whether or not it's been revoked. All right, so now we're going to come down and create a secret agent. Essay. Has some meaning in here in Fresno, you say essay. Secret agent. And a secret agent has a person as the first field, and then it has license to kill, and for James Bond, it's true. And we always have to have the trailing comma, and then I'm going to populate the person part. James Bond. Somebody want to sing it? And I haven't used it. You can't declare a variable and not use it in Go, because why do you have it there if you're not using it? Don't, like Daryl's mini storage, my code, don't have a bunch of stuff stored around you ain't using. You're not using it, garage sale that shit, get rid of it, and have your code just be what's there. What in your shop should only be what's being used. So now I'm using it, it'll no longer throw an error, and James Bond true. Cool. Right? So if you want to see collision, if I had a collision, right? So there I have F name also, and I could, I don't know, what's James Bond's other name? Cowboy. It's modern cowboy. 60s cowboy. That's probably better. 60s cowboy. James Bond, 60s cowboy, and if I wanted to, I could do this. So you see that we have a collision in the identifier for F name is both a field in secret agent and a field in person, which was promoted to the secret agent level. So if I do SA F name, how many people think I'm going to get 60s cowboy? How many people don't know what the hell is going on? How many people think I'm going to get James? I'm going to get 60s cowboy, right? 60s cowboy, but if I do this, I've drilled down with dot notation to James. I'm not applauding for me. I'm not applauding for you. I'm applauding for Google, Rob Pike, Ken Thompson, and Robert Gressmer. Whoa. Whoa. Elegant, simple, clean. Writes kind of like Python, but you know what? It's compiled. Nice. It's not a scripting language, it's compiled. So cool. You got that friend in your compiler to check to make sure you did everything right. You're not sending out crap Ruby-like code. So now we can start attaching methods. So here I said there's a receiver. A receiver is just like a parameter, but when you stick it there, it attaches a method to a type. So to person, I'm going to attach a method. Func p person, there's my thing, speak. And we're going to say format print line, because all people speak. And we're going to do p f name. Backticks are also characters for raw string literals. All right, Miss Moneypenny always kind of had a thing for James. And then we're going to do something for secret agents. So we're attaching methods to our type. And by the way, I'm going to get rid of this inner type promotion or that conflict. What does James Bond say? All right. Not only is it how he orders his drinks, it's also kind of like how he lives his life. So now we could say P1 speak. And we could say SA1 speak. We'll see if I did anything wrong. Type person has no field or method speak, but does have speak. That's kind of a funny one. So we have type person, and we've attached to a person speak, and it takes no parameters and returns anything. It should format print line. And secret, huh?
Is it because it's capitalized, the speak?
Ah, yeah. Did I switch my, there we go. It's always a little bit troublesome to, thank you. So case sensitivity, that's important. Because when you create packages to modularize your code, whether or not something's visible or not visible, or exported or not exported, you can use those terms interchangeably. Outside of the package, if something's capitalized, then it's exported visible outside the package. If it's lowercase, it's only inside the package that you have access to it. And in other languages, they say public-private. You don't say public-private in Go because that comes with baggage from other languages. All you do is make something capitalized. It's exported or visible from the package. Lowercase, it's not. All right, cool. So there it is. Miss says, welcome, James. It's so good to see you. And we should add P L name to that. Run. And James says, shaken, not stirred. Cool. All right, so we've attached methods, and we have these. And now the last thing is interfaces and polymorphism for code reusability. And to do that, we define an interface and type human, because if you're a secret agent or you're a person, you're a human, right? So this is polymorphism. We're going to define type human. It's going to be an interface. Interfaces are implicitly implemented. You don't explicitly have to say, hey, this implements this interface. And it defines functionality. Here's my joke. You ready? Ready for the geekiest joke you've heard all day, maybe in a while? I won't say ever. Here it is. An interface says, hey, baby, if you have these methods, then you're my type. How many people that makes sense to you? Hey, baby, if you have these methods, then you're my type. All right, you'll understand that maybe in a second. So here's the human interface. And the human interface is if you have the method speak, you implicitly implement this interface. That means that since type person has this method speak, and since secret agent has this method speak, any value, notice my precision with the words I'm using, any value which is of type person is also of type human. It is of two types. That's like getting into quantum mechanics or some crazy shit. It's both a person and a human. Or if you're a secret agent, if you have a value of type secret agent, it is also of type human. Whoa. So now we could do some cool polymorphism. And we could say instead of having two functions, well, I could create this right here. Let me just think about how I want to do this. Func, and I'm going to say this function is called say something, and it takes it takes a human as a parameter, and it returns nothing. And I'm going to say h func.println h dot fname. We'll try this and see what happens. Maybe. Okay. So now, let's see what happens. So I could call say something, and I could pass in P1, and I could call say something, and I could pass in secret agent 1. Because they are both of type human. That's polymorphism. That's interfaces. Right? How many people think this is not going to work? What'd I do wrong?
It's not defined.
What's not defined?
F name is not defined.
Maybe, that's my doubt, yeah. But I mean, both types have it, so. Fname is, oh, you already ran it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're ahead of me. Fname is undefined. Type human has no field or method fname. So if we just took this out for a second, run, right? Holy crap, it worked. So both types got passed in. Pretty cool. Who has questions? We've got 3 minutes. All right. Thank you guys for coming. Learn about the Go programming language. In the next hour, I'm going to show you how to do Golang web dev. So I'll show you how to use Go for creating web applications. And you've got resources. You've got a really good little introduction. You can watch this video again. It'll be on my YouTube account. So YouTube Todd McLeod. You've got resources. You can go back and watch this. If you get everything I just went over in that video, then you get a lot. You've gotten a lot. And if it's foreign to you, go through my intro course, Learn How to Code at Udemy, and it'll make sense by the time you're done. Thanks for coming.